10 p.m. in Banjul. This is GRTS News, broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. Our top stories this hour: President Adama Barrow returns from Senegal, where he joined several heads of states for the opening of the new 50,000 capacity stadium in Diamniadio. The governor of the central bank briefed the media on the Gambia's economy, which has accelerated 6% growth in 2021 compared to 0.2% in 2020. In sports, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon booked their place in the 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco after edging out the Gambia in the qualifying rounds. Meanwhile, the Gambia play host to the 5th African International Conference of the African Sports Management Association, aimed at enhancing efficiency in the management of sports. And away from home in Somalia, nearly half of the country's under 5 population, accounting for more than 1.4 million children, likely to suffer from acute malnutrition due to the ongoing drought that has left 4.1 million people in peril. Well, that's the top of the news and much more coming ahead. With me, Marian Jai Ajayi, and do stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, was among several leaders who attended the official inauguration of Stade du Senegal, a new multi-million-dollar sports stadium in the Senegalese capital, Dakar. The ultra-modern sports complex is seen as an important achievement in sports development for Senegal. Mamadou Diallo reports the opening ceremony was also graced by veterans in the game of football.
His Excellency Adama Barrow was among 5 leaders who graced the official opening of the new 50,000 capacity stadium in Diamniadio. The President arrived at the Leopold Sedar Senghor Military Airport at noon and was received by Senegalese Minister of Youth and Sports. He was officially received at the Presidential Palace in Dakar by Senegalese President His Excellency Macky Sall with food honors. The President joined several other dignitaries invited for the landmark event, including Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Paul Kagame of Rwanda, Umaru Sissoco Embalo of Guinea-Bissau, George Manewe of Liberia, FIFA President Giannino Infantino, and CAF President Patrice Motsepe at Diamniadio for the event, which is expected to transform Senegalese sports. The stadium took 2 years to complete and costs over 200 million euros. The sports stadium is named in honor of the former Senegalese President Abdoulaye Wade. President Sall, accompanied by his guests, including President Barrow, took the official kickoff of a match pitting Senegalese veteran footballers against their African counterparts. Speaking during the ceremony, President Sall acknowledged the benefits such infrastructure will bring to Senegal and its sports sector, which has seen unprecedented achievements this year with the winning of the African Cup of Nations. FIFA President Giannino Infantino and CAF President Patrice Motsepe both hailed the new stadium as an important achievement that will significantly improve sports development in Senegal and the continent. The 50,000 capacity stadium can host football and rugby matches as well as athletics. The ceremony was also graced by several prominent African personalities and football coaches and legends from Europe and Asia. The President and delegation later returned to Banjul after the opening ceremony. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, at the Banjul International Airport this morning, upon return from Dakar, President Barrow spoke to GRTS on the importance of the visit to partake in the inauguration of the Stade du Senegal. Ibrahim Diallo has more.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, returned to Banjul with an ambition to replicate Senegal's 50,000 capacity stadium in the Gambia to improve the environment of football development in the country.
It's a big encouragement for me, and also we are also looking forward to one day building such a stadium for Gambia, because we want to encourage football and we want to create the environment for us to build a very strong team next time, so that we can also be in record of teams that will be winning the African Cup of Nations.
President Barrow congratulates his Senegalese counterpart Macky Sall for building such a modern sporting edifice at the tune of over 200 million euro. While in Dakar, the Gambian leader discussed with the leaders of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, and FIFA over the condition of Gambia's only stadium. President Barrow said both organizations vowed to support the Gambia in this regard.
FIFA president was there, CAF president was also there, and we discussed even the issue of our stadium. I also discussed it with the FIFA president and the CAF president, and they assured me that they will support Gambia. They will support Gambia because of our performance. So definitely they want to encourage Gambia. So officially, if I get to the office, we will write to FIFA to see how best they can support us to renovate our stadium.
The President was invited alongside other heads of state and sporting elites for the spectacular event unveiling a new stadium in Diamniadio. Ibrahima Diallo, GRTS News.
Development personnel of the World Bank African Center for Excellence in Development Impact Project on Monday paid a courtesy call on the President Adama Barrow. The team was at the presidency to discuss the country's progress in strengthening its research development network. Speaking to GRTS shortly after meeting with the president, the visiting officials said their discussions with the Gambian leader were centered on the goal to set up a university that will train Gambians in engineering, science and technology. Mama J was at the State House and she prepared this report.
The African Center for Excellence for Development Impact Project is the first African higher education center of excellence operating in about 11 countries in Africa, including the Gambia. The academic project was initiated by the World Bank, meant to improve quality education in member countries by providing financial and technical support to beneficiary institutions. According to officials, the World Bank, which is providing funding for 53 centers including programs in agriculture, has also provided $12 million to the Gambia for the implementation of the project. Senior education specialist at the World Bank, Ekwo Bento, spoke to GRTS shortly after their audience with the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, at the State House.
When our discussions with the President, we realized that he has a very strong political will with respect to this project, and the goal is to really set up a university that can train the future Gambians in engineering, science and technology programs. And so our team is here to really support this agenda and to help the government establish this university and the training of the future workforce in engineering, science and technology.
The idea of establishing a center of excellence in the Gambia is to build the capacity of homegrown products in a bid to find solutions to issues relating to science and technology.
We talked about kind of across the continuum of education, continuing to build the momentum to be able to do that, so that we have educated youth who can then go on to become and play those important roles like scientists and engineers that are so critically needed and that are so much supported by the President. And so we're thrilled to have that kind of support. And from the World Bank side, want to continue to support those kind of investments.
Sylvia Ngandowelu from the Association of African Universities in Ghana states that despite the global COVID-19 pandemic, Gambia was able to make strides in accelerating progress in the project.
One of the requests that we made to His Excellency is to take opportunities that are coming through the COVID pandemic situation, and this will include taking advantage of developing or strengthening the Gambia Research Education Network, which comes with infrastructure for internet support as well as enabling online blended learning. And that would go a long way into teaching and also attracting diaspora to support teaching through such facilities.
According to officials from the World Bank, the academic project also seeks to ensure that youths are provided with the requisite skills and knowledge to play an important role in the critical areas of science, technology, and engineering sectors. Mama J, GRTS.
Still on the presidency, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, will on Saturday formally preside over the inauguration of the newly constructed Basse Market. The structure was ravaged by fire some 2 years ago. It was during a presidential inspection visit that President Barrow pledged his government's readiness to undertake rehabilitation works on the facility. 2 years on, the President's pledge has been fulfilled. To shed more light on that, we were earlier joined in the news by the Director of Technical Services at the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Matar Cisse. And welcome to the news, Mr. Cisse.
Good evening.
Now, is everything regarding the construction and civil engineering work completed?
Yes, thank you for that question. I'm glad to report that the structure has been completed. The ministry's team, in conjunction with GAMWorks, have actually completed a technical inspection. And we look forward to welcome His Excellency the President and all of Basse and URR on Saturday to actually inaugurate this magnificent and modern market for the whole sub-region.
Now, how viable is the construction work and its durability? Considering the fact that at least, the last fire incident was one of the many to have plagued the market. Is this facility ready for use as well?
Yes, at the ministry we've taken note of the recent trend of fire incidents in a lot of our markets, including Basse and Birkama. And recently we have been working with GAMWorks to come up with the most modern of techniques to try and make sure that the infrastructures that we're actually building are sustainable. Right. And as part of this, we have built in some of the preventative measures, which include, for example, as part of the electrical connections, we have installed a new transformer for the market to make sure that we can provide a demand, but also we've installed individual meters for each stalls, and these are secure and adequate connections. Having said that, there's always need to make sure that as part of the ongoing operations that we maintain these designs and installations.
Right. And finally, what do we expect to see on Saturday for the inauguration?
Yes, for Saturday, it would be a grand event. We look forward to welcoming His Excellency the President and cabinet members and all invited guests to this magnificent occasion. We will actually be having basically various speakers to come and basically speak on the market and what it means to, in particular, the people of Basse and URR as a whole. And then we also look forward to the cutting of the ribbon by His Excellency, and then finally a tour of the facility to show what we have been working on. Bear in mind that this market now provides 246 stalls. It also provides sheds for fishmongers and butchers. And then also we have actually included as part of this fire hydrants and drainage systems to actually cope with the requirement of the operations of the market.
Right. Well, Mr. Cisse, we appreciate you and thank you very much for coming on the news.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of the Central Bank of the Gambia has convened its quarterly press briefing after reviewing the country's economic and financial developments. The governor of the Central Bank, Boa Seydi, took the media through global economic outlook, foreign exchange market developments, domestic debts and price developments of the country. The Gambia's economy, as Governor Seydi puts it, has contracted from 4.9% in 2019 to 0.2% in 2020, forecasted accelerated growth of 6% in 2021. Well, let's take a listen to this excerpt.
In its January 2022 update on the World Economic Outlook WEO, the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, forecast global growth at 4.4% for 2021, down from 5.9% earlier projected in October 2021. The downward revision mainly reflects the slower than expected momentum in advanced economies due to supply disruptions in the United States, slowdowns in the housing sector in emerging market economies, and the lower new investments in real estate and unanticipated lower private consumption in developing economies. On the domestic economic development, we first look at the real sector developments, and the information there is that the Gambia Bureau of Statistics estimated the real GDP for the economy in 2020 to have contracted by 0.2% relative to an expansion of 6.2% in 2019. The noticeable contraction in growth could be explained by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, whose episodes the world is still witnessing. On foreign exchange market developments, activity volumes of foreign currency in the foreign exchange market in the year to end December 2021 rose to 2.53 billion US dollars compared to 2.17 billion US dollars in the comparative year a year ago. Correspondingly, the sales and purchase of foreign currency represented by demand and supply increased by 0.17 million US dollars and 0.19 million US dollars respectively. Price development. The consumer price inflation increased by 5.0 percentage point month on month to 7.6% in December 2021 from 5.6% in December 2020. The acceleration in headline inflation was mainly driven by the rise in food prices associated with supply constraints and the structural bottlenecks at the port of Banjul. Coming to the decision of the committee, taking the above factors into consideration, the Monetary Policy Committee has decided the following: maintain the policy rate at 10%, maintain the required reserve at 13%, and maintain the interest rate on the standing deposit facility at 3.0% and the standing lending facility at 11%. That is the MPR plus 1 percentage point.
Bank press briefing also shed light on the alleged $155 million scandal involving some bank officials. The Minister of Information and Communication, Infrastructure Ibrahim Silla, Government spokesperson Ibrahim Sankare, and the Inspector General of Police Abdullahi Sanyang, respectively, were all present during the deliberations. Now, talking about the allegation, the Governor of Central Bank of the Gambia, Boa Seydi, told the media that the said allegations have nothing to do with the Central Bank of the Gambia, but said as a regulatory institution, they will help in the investigations. Let's take a listen. Here is an excerpt again.
I'm not trying to hold brief for the staff concerned, but just to clarify to the general public how, irrational this thing is. $155 million is to enter this central bank without anybody knowing about it for 1 year. Because in the letter, it's alleged that the arrangement was on or about 21st March 2021. And the letter now to Abdu, which they copied to me, is February 10, 2022. So close to 1 year. So for $155 million to come into this bank, and we have security officers stationed all around this building, at the reception, cash entry points, the door here, within the banking hall, within corridors here, coming to my office here, there is a security officer. We have armed security officers from the military. So for anybody to allege that this quantum of money have entered this building is madness. $455 million is the way money is deposited into this central bank. And in addition to that, you go through this letter. IMF, what has IMF to do with central bank to withdraw money? We have our independence. No central bank in the world is related to IMF. No country opens their treasury to the IMF. Never ever in the history of this bank was any Sylvester Gomez there. And then head of intelligence, one Basiru Jane. We don't have intelligence unit here or department. There's no Basiru Jane here. At no point do we have 9 security guards here. There's no way central bank's vault can be tampered. I told you there is a CCTV at the entrance. The vault is audited, internal audit, external auditors, 2 firms, one local, one abroad. The government and the general public is hereby assured that the Central Bank of the Gambia is taking these allegations very seriously and that it will take all available means to deploy a full investigation.
GRTS News with me, Marianne Jai Ajayi. We'll take a quick break and return with sports. Do stay with us. From that short break now, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have booked their place in the 2022 Women's Africa Cup Nations in Morocco after edging out the Gambia in the qualifying rounds. Cameroon beat the Gambia twice, 8-0 in the first leg and 2-1 in return leg, played earlier this evening at the Independence Stadium in Bakau, from where Mamoudou S. Jallo tells us more.
Won in the first leg, played at the Amidou Ahijo Stadium in Yaoundé on Friday, where Cameroon won by 8-0, meaning the Gambia, that is the Queen Scorpions, must produce one of the biggest upsets in African football by beating Cameroon 9-0 in the return leg here at the Independence Stadium. Despite putting up a brave fight and an improved performance from the first leg, the Queen Scorpions couldn't stop the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon, who scored twice in the first half to win by 2-1. Cameroon took the lead in the 5th minute through their captain, Aboudi Gabriel, who scored the opening goal in the 5th minute before striker Alice Frod Kameni netted the second goal to give the visitors a 2-1 lead going into the break. Coming from the break, the Gambians fought very hard and Catherine Jatta scored a brilliant free kick to reduce the deficit to 2-1, but it was only enough for a consolation. The free kick from the winger was absolutely amazing, but it wasn't enough to salvage anything for the Queen Scorpions. And Cameroon went on to win by 2-1 and qualify for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations to be held in Morocco later this year. And this was the reactions of the 2 coaches after the game.
Cameroon, as you can see, the first leg it was 8-0, and when we came back home, we have to do the homework perfectly so that history will not repeat itself, as I said earlier. Cameroon is second best in Africa, but for me, I will put them first in Africa because I play Nigeria after defeating Burkina Faso, and after defeating Sierra Leone, I face Cameroon. Cameroon is a big footballing nation, as we all know. Looking at the caliber of players that play today, definitely they are far above the Gambia.
This is my first game playing in the national team, so it's a motivations an achievement that I achieve right now. I think the first one was a mistake. We did so many mistakes that we rectified today, and today I think we did to expectation. We were not hoping expecting these results. We expect the team to win today, but this is the best results that we can receive from the team. So I think we can work hard to achieve more results that we want, inshallah.
Si le stade n'est pas pour permettre de jouer, même l'équipe.
The only difference between the game in Cameroon and here is the pitch. It means the pitch here it was very bad and they couldn't play as expected. But anyway, they won in Cameroon by 8-0, so they were comfortable here. And they have seen also the Gambian side also has some potentials. But anyway, the pitch was the main issue here. That's why they couldn't perform like in Cameroon.
So the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have now booked one of the 12 spots for the Africa Women's Cup of Nations to be held in Morocco. The final score here at the Independence Stadium, the Gambia 1, Cameroon 2. So Cameroon qualifies with a 10-1 aggregate win over the Gambia, beating the Queen Scorpions over the 2 legs. Mohamed Esjalo, GRT Sports at the Independence Stadium.
The African International Conference of the African Sports Management Association is underway in Banjul. Enhancing efficiency in the management of sports is the aim of the 3-day convergence convened by the National Sports Council. Farmer Abaji was at the opening ceremony and he filed in this report.
This meeting brings together sports administrators to discuss issues impeding sports development and map out ways to enhance management. The Gambia government, through the Sports Ministry, is advancing efforts towards the development of sports, according to Seho Sanyang, who deputized for the Gambia's Minister for Youth and Sports.
As a government, we are very committed to investing in sport, thereby engaging our young people meaningfully. I am happy to inform you that it is against this background that we are currently reviewing all the acts of the satellite institutions under the Ministry of Youth and Sports. This includes that of the National Sport Council. The objective of this exercise is to ensure that we have in place the right legal framework that will ensure that is required in sport management and tools that exist to support it.
Marcel Mendy, the Executive Director of the National Sports Council, highlighted the role of sports in national development, a dynamic economy and transformation of athletes.
Sport teaches athletes and all those who take part in it many important life lessons. It teaches discipline, focus, dedication, hard work, commitment, and teamwork among some very important values. It is therefore our responsibilities, ladies and gentlemen, as managers, to value sportsmanship and award the courage of athletes to take action rather than focusing on winning or losing. I am sure during the conference, we will build many bridges in for the benefit of our sport in Africa.
If you want to have a solid structure, we must start from the foundation. And the foundation is the grassroots. So the theme is apt, and we really appreciate it, and we like it. And this is an opportunity for the different national associations who are present here today to make the best opportunity to learn better ways of cherishing this theme and ensure that in the Gambia, after this conference, we will have talents that we can nurture to become professionals in their respective areas.
The Conference of Sports Administrators is themed on grassroots sports, an important aspect of sustainable sports development. Members of the Africa Sports Management Association say grassroots sports management is a key priority on their agenda.
I join all African countries to make sports development from the grassroots a strategy for sustainable sports development in Africa. African Sports Management Association, ASMA, is ready to partner with African countries through the African Union Sports Councils in the quest of developing sports from the grassroots in Africa.
Sports, without the management of it, is nothing. And we need to collaborate. So this sort of ideas sharing is needed for us in Africa. We can't rely on people from other parts of the world to come and teach us what they do there. Because what we do here is peculiar to us as Africans. And therefore, I believe that at the end of this entire conference, we'll all be energized, to use the words of moderator, and knowledge-driven to go to our various establishments and drive sports to a higher ground.
At the end of the 3-day convergence, participants are expected to make significant contributions to the enactment of effective sport management practices in Africa and beyond. The African Sport Management Association was founded in 2010 during the 17th Biennial International Conference of the International Society for Comprehensive Physical Education and Sport, held at Kenyatta University in Kenya. Famara Baji, GRTS News.
There on the convergence of the 5th African International Conference of the African Sports Management Association. Now, more than 1.4 million children in Somalia, nearly half of the country's under 5 population, are likely to suffer from acute malnutrition due to the ongoing drought that has left 4.1 million people in peril. 8 agencies in the country are calling for more help for the most affected people. CGTN's Mohamed Kahiyi visited a mother and child hospital in the capital Mogadishu and filed the following report.
Hospital in Mogadishu is overwhelmed by cases of malnutrition among the children. Shamsa Hussein brought her 4-month-old daughter here a month ago. She says her condition is improving.
The weight of my child has improved. It was 2.9 kilograms, but after 1 month and a half, it's now 4.4 kilograms. She's 4 months old now and has some complications in the head.
Doctors at this mother and child hospital in Mogadishu have told us that most of the malnutrition cases they receive are from the internally displaced people impacted by the ongoing drought situation in the country.
Sometimes we receive children below 6 months whose mother passed away and are suffering from acute malnutrition due to absence of proper breastfeeding. We treat them. We also provide a necessary awareness nutrition campaign for mothers on the significance of breastfeeding on nutrition before we discharge them.
Humanitarian agencies in the country say they are scaling up their efforts but need more resources to deal with worsening situation on the ground.
We also established some mobile health and nutrition center so that we provide immediate feeding to some of the most malnourished children who arrived in these respective locations. However, the support that Save the Children is providing is a drop in an ocean, and unless we get more scale-up and adequate resources to support these children and other people who arrived or displaced from their original places, we foresee that major catastrophe will be unfolding in Somalia.
The delayed rainy seasons in the past years, especially here in Somalia, have made the lives of farming and pastoral communities very difficult. The government and aid agencies are doing their best to assist the neediest people, but they say more assistance is still needed. Mohamed Kahiye, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
The Somali government has rejected an agreement signed by its Petroleum and Mineral Resources Minister with US-based exploration firm, Coastline Exploration Limited. The Office of the Attorney General has recommended the suspension of officials involved in the signing of the agreement. Well, details in this CGTN report.
The President and his Prime Minister have strongly rejected the agreement by the Petroleum Minister on Saturday. The Director of Communications at the Office of the President said the move was illegal.
heshiiskan wuxuu ka hor imanayay
This agreement is against the law of the country. This is a critical electioneering period, and it is illegal for all government agencies to sign such contracts as per the presidential decree dated August last year, which bars government agencies that freeze agreements with foreign entities and states.
The office of the president also rejected the claims by the minister that the head of state was aware about the agreement.
The President of the Republic has no knowledge about the agreement whatsoever. The minister took a personal decision without notifying the cabinet and our embassy in the location of signing the agreement as per the protocols. He was out of reach in line of communication.
The Somali citizens said they are closely following the conversations between the leaders on the controversial topic.
We are confused with who to believe in the purported agreement between the three leaders, thus President, Prime Minister and the Petroleum Minister. Maybe they want to confuse citizens, but I believe there is something. But we don't want to speculate on who is right and who is wrong. Let's wait and see.
The Office of the Auditor General said the process followed in signing oil and gas deal by the Ministry of Petroleum was illegal, recommending the suspension of the officials involved in the signing agreement. Mohamed Kahi, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
Well, over now to the weather report, courtesy of the Central Focused Office. News, but before we take a leave of you, a quick look at our top stories once again. President Adama Barrow has returned from Senegal, where he joined several heads of states for the opening of the new 50,000 capacity stadium in Diamniadio. The governor of the central bank has briefed the media on the Gambia's economy, which has accelerated 6% growth in 2021 compared to 0.2% in 2020. In sports, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have booked their place in the 2022 Women's Africa Cup Nations in Morocco after edging out the Gambia in the qualifying rounds. The Gambia is playing host to the 5th African International Conference of the African Sports Management Association, aimed at enhancing efficiency in the management of sports. And away from home in Somalia, nearly half of the country's under-5 population, accounting for more than 1.4 million children, are likely to suffer from acute malnutrition due to the ongoing drought that has left 4.1 million people in peril. Well, that's it for this hour. And thank you for watching the GRTS News from the entire news team here on GRTS TV. It's good night, and do enjoy the rest of our interesting programs.